Tablet 30, about the mind, 19 by 4 equals 76. Lo, the mind can neither perceive itself nor perceive another mind, for if this were the case there would be complete confusion of the knowledge and the memory of the different minds. The mind is but an instrument. All knowledge comes from beyond it, from the mental. Knowledge of itself comes through the self-cognition, which occurs when the mind is stilled. The explanations that the mind cannot perceive itself. The mind is stilled, and it is allowed perception of itself through the right knowledge gained by the self is then also known by the mind. It is then that the mind has full knowledge. Obviously then, it is not intellectualization, but meditation that brings self-knowledge. Mind, though filled with innumerable tendencies and desire, acts for the self, for they act in conjunction. Mind is directly associated with the self, so it acts for the self, while it is still full of worldly thoughts. Through discrimination, one can clearly understand that the soul and mind are not the same. The world is full of avarice, hypocrisy, flattery, untruth, double-dealing, and selfishness, and those who profess to be friends are often one's greatest enemies. Beware of self-proclaimed friends who come for money and other comforts. When circumstances are affluent, then they disappear when the tide has turned. These fair-weather friends give their own brand of advice. They waste precious time in useless chatter and pull one off the spiritual path and down to their own level. Of course, most people do not like to think that this is true. Most would like to feel that their relationship is based on the fear of being alone and the desire for diversion. One should cut off connections that are not beneficial, and they should trust only the inner voice that dwells in one's heart. Associate only with those own aspirations for perfection are uplifting and encouraging. Useless talking and excessive debating should also be eliminated. Diarrhea of the tongue wastes much energy that could be utilized for personal development. Too much talking makes a person restless. Just like a tape recorder, it cannot record and play at the same time. A person cannot talk and learn at the same time. The wise speak only a few words, and then only when necessary, for by their very economy they will carry the most force. To help calm, center, and discipline the mind, silence can be observed for about 2 hours daily in addition to the time spent in meditation. In order to be of the most practical value, silence is best practiced at those times when there is the most opportunity to talk. People of an intellectual nature are often prone to unnecessary decision and controversies. A person who is unable to remain quiet easily becomes involved in heated debates, too many of which leads to enmity, hostility, and energy drain. When intellectual reasoning, which is normally concerned only with investigation of the physical plane, it is used for metaphysical inquiry, it can lead the student to the threshold of intuition. Past this point, however, it is of no use of transcendental matters that are beyond the reach of reason. One must give up arguing and become silent and look within. Fault-finding is, likewise, a most detrimental habit. The mind of the person who is always poking his or her nose into the affairs of others is always outgoing and out of control. No one can be introspective when the mind is engaged in activity of this sort. Diligent application to spiritual practice allows no time for managing the affairs of others. Forget the shortcomings of other people, and you must work to improve yourself first. Life is precious and short. No one knows when it will be taken away. Every minute should be used for much higher purposes than gossiping and judging others. Self-justification is another behavioral weakness to be overcome, along with its associated characteristics, self-assertion, obstinacy, dissimulation, and lying. Once these weaknesses become established in the framework of the personality, it is very difficult to eliminate them, for the ego never admits to its own faults. One lie covers another, an endless succession of vain attempts at self-justification. Improvements come quickly and rapidly only when one learns to readily admit his or her faults, mistakes, and weakness. To have a petty mind is closely associated with backbiting and trying to pull down other people. All are caused by jealousy and ignorance. This can easily be combated and eradicated by always rejoicing in the welfare of others. About the mind. This tablet explains the true nature of the mind and how it relates to the self and soul. It teaches that the mind cannot fully understand itself or another mind. It is only a tool or instrument, not the ultimate source of knowledge. Real knowledge comes from beyond the mind through stillness and self-awareness. Key points in simple terms. Mind versus soul. The mind is not the same as the soul. The mind is filled with thoughts, desires, and distractions, while the soul is deeper and eternal. Meditation over thinking. True self-knowledge doesn't come from overthinking or reasoning. It comes from stillness, silence, and meditation. Dangers of worldly attachments. The world is full of greed, lies, hypocrisy, and false friendships. People may act like friends for personal gain but disappear when times get hard. Silence and self-control. Talking too much drains energy. Wisdom comes from speaking less, listening more, and practicing silence daily. Silence brings discipline, focus, and spiritual growth. Avoid gossip and fault-finding. Criticizing others, gossiping, or meddling in people's lives weakens the mind and blocks spiritual progress. Self-improvement first. Instead of focusing on others' flaws, one should correct their own weaknesses, ego, and bad habits. Admitting mistakes is the first step toward true improvement. Overcoming weaknesses. Lying, stubbornness, jealousy, and arrogance are traps of the ego. These habits must be recognized and overcome for spiritual growth. Rejoicing in others' success. Instead of being jealous or petty, one should be happy for others' well-being. This attitude destroys jealousy and ignorance. Simple takeaway. The mind is just a tool, not the master. Real wisdom comes from stilling the mind, avoiding gossip and false friends, practicing silence, and focusing on self-improvement. By overcoming ego and bad habits, one can grow spiritually and live with clarity, peace, and strength. If you enjoyed this content from the Holy Tablets, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to All Eyes on Egypt TV for more divine knowledge and breakdowns. Got a question or a thought to share? Drop it in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you and keep the discussion going. This video is sponsored by AEOEbookstore.com, the largest selection of books authored by Dr. Malachi Z. York. Go check them out today and support the movement.